everybody, welcome back. My name is Jessica and today I'm going to be doing a reading vlog. This will be my first reading vlog, so stay tuned. I like reading vlogs because it gives you a chance to get to know the creator a little bit better and spend some time with them. So I am inviting you into my life to spend some time with me here today. The plan for today is to make some snacks for New Year's Eve. I'll be spending New Year's Eve here at home with my boyfriend. One of the things that I will be making is from this book here, and I'll be doing a separate filming of that recipe because part of what I want to do in 2021 is to read more cookbooks and review them, and part of the reviews I want to cook a couple recipes from the cookbook as part of that process. And so I'm going to do my first one with this cookbook here today. So I won't go into a lot of details in the vlog about this particular recipe, but it will be coming up soon. In terms of books that I'm reading here today and tomorrow, I am reading this book, Home Comforts, The Art and Science of Keeping House by Cheryl Mendelson. This book is life-changing. If you are someone who really likes homemaking and housekeeping and etiquette, this is the book for you. It is 800 and some pages, 880 pages long. And it is so much information. It's so good. I'm also reading We Are Not From Here by Jenny Torres Sanchez. And this is one that was recommended by Ashley at the Bookish Realm. And it is a YA contemporary novel. I haven't started it yet, so we'll get to start it here in this vlog. The vlog is going to cover today, which is New Year's Eve, and then New Year's Day. I actually have to go into work on Saturday and Sunday, so this is kind of like a weekend vlog, which, because I have New Year's Eve and New Year's Day off as holidays, so that's what this is going to cover. I haven't started reading this, so hopefully I can get through it in the next 2 days or so. It sounds really fantastic. Ashley had some really fantastic things to say about it. In addition, I am starting a buddy read, my first buddy read, and it will be with our beloved Simon over at BookTube with Simon, or as he's also known, BookTube with Laird Rumpel. And we will be reading The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Not in 2 days, but we're going to start reading that January 1st for a buddy read. So that is also on the docket for tomorrow. Lots of good stuff coming up here. I'm going to go ahead and put my hair up before I get to cooking this recipe. Oh goodness, how has your holiday week been? I don't know how many of y'all celebrate like Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa. Tell me how it's going. Tell me in the comments. Did you get any good books for Christmas presents? I got one book. No, 2 books. Pretty excited. Let's get started. Let's go cook. Hi! Okay, so what I'm going to be making from this cookbook here today is Irish chocolate mint dessert. My mother made this for my high school graduation, and it was phenomenal, and hopefully I can pull it off too here. We shall see. Alright, so I got my first recipe in the oven and cooking, and it has to cook for about 35 minutes, or has to bake for 35 minutes, and I do have another project that I need to work on. So my life really isn't super exciting, but hopefully you're in focus here. Hopefully we're in focus here, but you know, if I had to really boil it down, I would say that my life is primarily spent at work, reading, taking care of my pets, homemaking, and gardening. Yeah, those would be my five main ways that I spend my time. So, I mean, I'm not a super thrilling person. I live a fairly simple life. My house here is an urban homestead. It's a condo, so I have shared walls, but I do have a bit of garden, and I do bucket gardening. Homemaking is one of my great passions. I know for some people cleaning the house and those kinds of projects are really annoying, but I actually really like it. I think creating a home is so much more complex and intricate and wonderful than we give it credit for, and so much of our traditional ways of homemaking are being obliterated by the modern world, which could be good or bad depending on who you are. But I really like to withhold some of those more traditional homemaking values in my own life. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to do that, like you do you. Perfectly fine. But for me, I really enjoy tending to my house and keeping a garden. And my favorite part of living is probably those 5 areas. I have a job that I really enjoy. I love my home. I love tending to it. I love my pets. I have quite a few pets, which maybe I'll introduce you to some of them here in this vlog. And my garden just gives me life. And then reading. Reading is everything. So, you know, wanting to get to know me a little bit, that pretty much sums up the core of my life. So hopefully that's not too boring for you. But one of the projects that I need to do now that I've got this brownie mix in the oven is I do keep axolotls, which is an aquatic salamander, and I have a couple of worm farms because axolotls' primary diet is earthworms. And so I have to tend to my earthworms as well. So I've got 2 giant totes in my basement that are full of earthworms and soil, and they're my little worm farms, and I do need to tend to them a bit today. So one of the things that I give my worms is ground up eggshells because it's a really good source of roughage and calcium for the worms, and it's a good way to reduce, reuse, recycle. I have collected a whole bunch of eggshells over the past few weeks, and the way that I break it down into a calcium powder is by baking the eggshells. So since I've got the oven running today, I feel like this is a perfect day to go ahead and bake up the eggs that I've collected over the past few weeks. So I'm going to go ahead and get them set up on a baking sheet, and then once I pull this brownie batter out and it's cooked and it's good to go, then we're going to put the eggs in, and I'll show you how I make calcium powder for my earthworms, which may not be that exciting for some of you, but for me, it brings me a whole lot of joy. All right, so here we've got the eggs. You can kind of hear them popping and snapping because they are thoroughly baked, and then so we are back with this vlog. I actually skipped New Year's Day. So the last footage that you will have seen is of our New Year's Eve food spread. And then New Year's Day, I had some sort of weird allergic reaction going on. My eyes got super puffy. It was not going to be a good time filming. And because it was my eyes that were affected, I actually didn't get a lot of reading done New Year's Day. New Year's Eve, I didn't get a whole lot of reading done either, just because I was cooking so much, and then I got super tired, and then I was spending New Year's Eve with my boyfriend, so it would be kind of rude to just sit and read when he was there with me. So I got about 20 pages in on We Are Not From Here, and then Yesterday when I didn't film, I got another 20 some pages, so I'm now on page 52. This is a really intense book. I have to take it in bite-sized chunks because it's a lot to absorb and take in. There's a lot of pretty graphic violence in here and so many just horrifying themes and images in this book that are horrifying because you know they're really happening somewhere. Like someone somewhere is experiencing something akin to what is being described here in this book, and it's a lot to digest. So I think reading it in like 20-page increments is about all I can handle psychologically of it. But it's an excellent, excellent book so far. Hey, it is Sunday, January 3rd, and yesterday, I don't really know where the time went. I did have to pop into work for a while, and then I filmed a video, my December wrap-up video, January TBR video, and then like the day was gone and daylight was gone. So I did get some more reading done on We Are Not From Here. I am on page 96, and this book is so intense. Oh my goodness. So in the beginning there's Pequeña, and she has a baby, and it reminds me a lot of Elizabeth Acevedo's Clap When You Land, because when Camino's friend, I can't remember what her name is, but Camino in Clap When You Land, her friend has a baby, and Camino's auntie has to go in and help deliver the baby and care for it because the family can't afford to go to an actual hospital to have the child delivered. And there's that same kind of scenario in We Are Not From Here, and that Pequeña is in that same situation where she's having a baby and she has to deliver the baby at home because they can't afford to go to a hospital and get medical care for it. And the descriptions of childbirth in this book are pretty graphic, and I mean, I have not had a child before, so I don't know how accurate it is, but it feels pretty accurate. So that was intense, and basically Chico and Pulga and Pequeño are all being hunted by this guy Ray, who is a gangster, who's really dangerous, who has like these intense connections in the city with other gang affiliates. He's really violent, he's really scary. The baby that Pequeña has is Ray's baby, and he wants to like force her to be a family with him. The baby was a baby conceived out of rape, and Ray is also enlisting Chico and Pulga into his gang, forcefully enlisting it because Chico and Pulga witnessed a crime that Ray committed and they stayed quiet about it. And so Ray's like, you did the right thing to stay quiet about it because we would really mess you up if you had said anything, and now that you have seen this crime, like, I've got one on you, and now you're gonna be my little messenger boys, basically. And like all three of these kids, because they're kids, I mean, none of them are older than 16, they are in this space where they're like, we've got to leave, we've got to get away from here, we've got no other option. And it is just so anxiety provoking reading about that experience that they're having, because it's like they're trapped, like they are so trapped, and they really don't have any other options other than to run and to get away, because even the police force is corrupt and is probably working for Ray and Ray's gang. So even if they went to the police to try to get protection or help with the situation, it's likely that the police would just send them back to Ray's gang. And like, they've got no help, they've got no support. And it's such a scary situation, and what really drives it home is just the knowledge that this is a situation that people are experiencing in real life right now, right in this very moment. There are people in situations like this where they have no help, where they're completely trapped, and their only option is to run. And where they run to is probably going to vary, but in the case of these three kids, they're planning to run to the United States because they are in Guatemala, and so their plan is to run north to the US to seek asylum. And so they haven't started running yet, but they've just started creating their plans and like gathering supplies and stuff to make a run for it. And this book it's so good. Like, it's so good. The writing is fantastic. I have been marking up pages here for different quotes that I like, and one of them, so Chico Pulga go visit Pequeña after she has the baby, and they're all just starting to really feel like, oh man, we're in trouble. And some of the people around them, the brujas, are getting visions of them in a lot of danger, and so some of the brujas are telling them, like, you guys need to run. And anyway, so they go visit Pequeña, and they're playing cards with her, and this is from Pequeña's point of view. And she says, I pick up my cards and stare at the 3 of hearts in my hand. I see those little red hearts turn black. I see them oozing and shriveling up into nothing. And like, that's such good symbolism for what the 3 of these kids are really going through. So like, the 3 cards that are heart cards basically represent the 3 of them and what will end up happening to them if they stay in this situation. So there's really good use of symbolism in this book. The dialogue in this book is excellent, and some of the scenes where there is violence, Jenny Torres Sanchez does a really excellent job of describing not just the action that's happening within the scene, but also just the inner turmoil of the characters who are experiencing or engaging in that kind of violence. And it's done in such a way that you're not pulled out of the scene. So it's not a distraction from the action that's happening, but it is interwoven with the action that's happening to be really seamless and just a very visceral, absorbing experience of reading those particular scenes. But that also makes this book quite difficult psychologically to get through. So I do recommend, if you are planning on reading this, to make sure to give yourself breaks in between reading this book and try to read something or do something a little bit lighthearted. Not because what's in this book isn't important, but just because it's so heavy that you don't want your mental health to suffer from reading it, basically. And I think stuff like this is just so important because you really get such a sense of what people in other situations around the world are going through. And when you see things happening within your Congress, within your state, within your government, decisions that leaders are making, you really feel more called to action having read something like this that puts you in the shoes of that other person. So this is a really important book. It's a really difficult book, but if you can handle it, definitely read this book. So I do plan on continuing to read this here today. I already went into work today, so that is all out of the way. The only other things I need to do are a little bit of housework today, a little bit of meal prep and planning. Otherwise, I can take all the rest of today to read. It is going to be about 3 p.m. here. It's 2:45, 2:50 right now. So I will continue reading this, and to break it up, I have continued to read my Home Comforts book. There's no way I'm gonna finish this book during this vlog, but it is fun just to read and check in with you about what I've been reading. So I got through a chapter on making different kinds of drinks like coffee, tea, hot chocolate, and alcohol. Learned about different kinds of glassware and stemware for different kinds of drinks. And so this is what I read to kind of break up that psychological intensity of reading We Are Not From Here, because this book really feels very cozy and homey to me, and it's something that I love. It's about one of my hobbies. I kind of have been rotating between these two books this week. I originally wasn't planning on vlogging this long. I was initially just gonna do New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, but I haven't had a chance to read as much as I want to read, so I am extending the vlog out a few days here. I'll probably do my last check-in Monday morning before I go into work and then wrap things up. I do want to follow up with you though on the egg shells, finally. So after you bake the eggshells, all I do is I put them in this gallon freezer bag and crush. It's so satisfying. It's kind of like crushing bubble wrap. But anyway, I end up crushing it down into kind of a powder-like substance. My eggshell calcium powder stays fairly coarse. I know some people who do this like to use it in like a protein shake, and so they'll actually put the eggshells in a food processor to grind it down to be more of like a floury powder consistency. But since I just use this for my earthworms, I keep it a little bit more coarse because they like to eat a more coarse powder. Basically. So you finally see the conclusion of the baked eggshells and how I handle this for my worm bins. Morning everybody, it is Monday, January, I don't have a new calendar up, the 4th. And I am checking in here this morning before I head into work for my final check-in on vlogging, reading We Are Not From Here by Jenny Torres Sanchez. I finished this book last night and it shattered me emotionally. It was wow. Of the 400 and some books I've read on my Goodreads, there are 2 books that have made me sob. The first one was Tell the Wolves I'm Home by Carol Rivka Brunt, and the second one was this book, We Are Not From Here by Jenny Torres Sanchez. This book is so incredibly powerful, and I'm pretty glad I ran out of daylight yesterday so y'all didn't have to watch me turn ugly as I was sobbing, especially at one particular part in this book. I have a couple areas noted here. One of the themes that I picked up on that I always appreciate in a book is the power of naming. This is something that I have really been passionate about since my grad school days, is the power of naming and you being the one to pick your name and not have others name you. And this book talks about that to some degree in a way that I appreciated. So pulga means flea in Spanish. Pequeña means small. So here on page 12, Pulga says, "What does your name mean?" She's asking Pulga. She asked me suddenly. I stared down at the soda in my hand, the red and white logo of the bottle. She knew it meant flea. Everyone did. And Pequeña knew the story behind it, just as I knew the story behind hers. We are small people, Pequeña said again, with small names, meant to live small lives. That's all we're allowed to live. That's all the world wants us to live. But sometimes even that it won't give us. Instead, the world wants to crush us. And then later on in the book, Pequeña does decide to change her name, and I just want to share with you that part as well. Okay, they're at a shelter, and one of the women running the shelter asks Pequeña what her name is. She says, "So what's your name?" I know she knows, so I don't lie. Pequeña, she shakes her head. That's not good. It will keep you small. What's your real name? My real name. Already I feel like I don't have one. Already I feel like the person who walked the streets of my neighborhood, who lived in that house and slept in that bed. Already I feel like that person doesn't exist. And I don't know if she was left behind or if she's disappeared, like water evaporating over buses and fields and trains. Who had I been when my mother looked at my face the day I was born? Flor, I tell Soledad. Her shiny face breaks into a smile. Ah, Flor, she repeats. Now that's much better. And then a little further down on the page, Pequeña says, "How long have you been here?" I ask. 5 years, she says, taking a deep breath. She turns and stares at me again, and I can't help but wonder if she's looking for someone in my face. But what she says is, "You must always remember your name. Say it to yourself. You cannot forget who you are. La bestia, the wind, a lot of people on the other side, they will try to make you forget. They will try to erase you, but you must always remember, eres flor." that is so powerful. And again, it goes back to that that theme of the power of names and the power of choosing your name instead of letting others name you. So I don't know what more there is to say about this book other than it's so important. It's not a book to be enjoyed, but it is a book that you have to read. You have to read this book. It is so powerful, and it is so relevant to today's world, especially here in the United States, when it comes to immigration and some of the prejudice that comes along when dealing with immigrants and migrants. This will bust that prejudice up. I mean, if you read this book and you really understand what migrants go through to come to the United States, only to get here and to be put in cages, that will devastate you. It devastates me. It absolutely devastates me. And before I read this book, it was really upsetting for me then too. So I didn't come into this having prejudice necessarily against immigrants, thinking that they were leeches or anything like that other people tend to think. But after reading it, I just have so much more compassion, and I'm so amazed by their strength and their courage, and it breaks my freaking heart the way we treat them here in the United States. So down in the description box, I'll put some links to some charitable organizations that you can donate to. I cut some checks as soon as I finished this book. I was writing checks out because it just is so powerful. It puts you right into the shoes of someone who is dealing with this, and it's going to change the way you think about immigration, about refugees, about migrants, no matter where you live. Because even if you're not here in the States, you might live somewhere else, say England, where you're getting a lot of Syrian refugees. They're coming there with just as difficult situations, with just as much danger that they're going through to get to that place. And like, we need to treat these people better. They deserve better. All right, now that I got myself together again, do please read this book. This will wrap it up for this reading vlog. I hope you enjoyed my first reading vlog. I've got a lot of footage to edit, so we'll see how it turns out. I am no masterful camera woman yet. I am not a filmmaker by trade, so have patience with me and know that these will continue to improve as I improve my skills. Until next time, make sure to read good books, read this book, drink good coffee, take care of yourselves and each other.